Hey there, welcome back to the channel. Today we're diving into a topic that may seem familiar, but might just make you rethink the way you love. 8 things smart men should never do with women. Sounds unusual, right? But sometimes, how you love someone matters less than what you don't do to them. A smart man isn't the one who knows the smoothest lines. He's the one who understands, if I say this, she'll shut down. If I act like this, the relationship will crack before I even realize it. Women don't walk away because there's no love. They walk away because of the small hurts you didn't even notice you were causing. And the most painful part? You won't realize you did something wrong until she goes truly silent. No yelling, no dramatic exits. Just one day, she stops looking at you the way she used to. This video isn't about tactics. It's not about how to win her over. It's about awareness, about emotional strength, about the maturity of a man who's done the inner work. If you want to keep a woman by being calm and present, not by control, then this is the video you'll want to watch from start to finish. And if you recognize even one of these 8 things as something that once cost you someone you loved, share this video, not to go viral, but so one more person learns how to love without hurting someone by accident. Let's begin. 1. Don't solve the problem when all she needs is for you to listen. She sits down, eyes tired. I don't know why. I just don't feel okay, she says. And you, like many kind, well-meaning men, immediately switch on. Maybe it's work? Are you overthinking again? Let me show you how to deal with it. You're not wrong, but you're not right either. A 2017 study published in Psychological Science found something powerful. When women are under stress, their cortisol levels drop more when they're listened to with empathetic presence, not when they're given advice or emotional solutions too quickly. In short, the reflex to fix often comes from men, but what women really need is to be heard without being corrected. You think you're helping, but the truth is, you might be unintentionally shutting down her emotions. Have you ever seen her go quiet, pull away, avoid eye contact, and you didn't know why? Maybe last time she opened up, you reacted with solution mode, when all she truly needed was someone to stay and listen, not to fix. This isn't about giving answers. It's about being there. She'll find her own clarity later, but right now, she just needs a man steady enough to sit with her and not walk away when things get hard. Here's a tough truth. Many women feel they're loneliest, even in a relationship, not from lack of physical presence, but because they don't feel safe being tired without being judged. A Stoic man understands. You don't always need to say something wise. Sometimes silence, if it's fully present, heals deeper than any advice. Because the more skilled you are at solving, the easier it is to forget. Some feelings don't need fixing. They just need to exist. And if you're aware enough, you'll look at her, caught in emotion, and choose not to fix. You won't react. You won't explain. You'll just stay, without judgment, without advice. And say something simple like, I hear you. Go on, I'm here. It sounds easy, but for many women, that might be the first time they've ever truly felt heard. Because if you always try to fix her, one day, she'll stop talking. Not because she ran out of words, but because she knows you weren't really listening. You were just waiting for your turn to speak. And that's not what you want, because that's silence. That's not peace. That's distance. If you've ever been there, next to the woman you love, but feeling her slowly grow cold, ask yourself, did I try to fix, or did I truly stay? Sometimes, how you respond to her emotions will decide whether she still trusts you or not. She doesn't need you to have all the answers. She needs you to be steady enough not to react, but to stay. And when you can do that, she won't feel the need to perform anymore. She'll just be real. 2. Don't make her feel like she has to perform to be loved. She used to be herself, until you started praising the parts of her that weren't truly her. You said things like, I love it when you're this gentle. I really prefer quiet, soft-spoken girls, like you. I don't do well with strong personalities. Too exhausting. It sounds harmless, but each sentence is a silent instruction, a condition in exchange for affection. And she, a woman who once had the courage to be fully herself, starts holding it in just to keep your approval. She doesn't speak up when she's angry, even though she's boiling inside. She hides her hurt, even when it stings. She smiles, but it's the kind of smile meant to keep things smooth. A 2020 study by the American Psychological Association found this: people who constantly suppress their true emotions in romantic relationships experience anxiety 2.6 times higher than average and have a 40% greater chance of breaking up within 1 to 2 years. Because no one can keep performing in a love that doesn't let them be real. You think you're in love with an amazing woman? Maybe. You're just in love with the version she created so you wouldn't leave. Have you ever loved a woman and suddenly felt disconnected? She stopped opening up, stopped challenging you, stopped being herself, and you didn't know why. Maybe it was you, with one well-meant comment, that made her feel she had to hold it all in to keep you close, and when it got too heavy, she stepped back. Not because she stopped loving you, but because she couldn't keep pretending. That's not love. That's a silent negotiation, where she trades honesty for the hope that you might stay. You wonder why she doesn't share anymore, why she no longer pushes back, why that raw spark disappeared, and she just smiles, nods, says, "I'm fine," but inside, she's pulling away, quietly, without drama, without tears. She's just done performing. A Stoic man understands, love isn't an exchange. It's a space where the other person can be real and still be kept. No one wants to be sweet, reasonable, or on brand all the time, just to stay. A woman feels safe when she knows if she's tired, irritable, messy, not cute today, you're still there, and your gaze doesn't change. The more you fall in love with an image of her, the more she'll slip away. Not because she's changing, but because you never really wanted to meet the real her. And if she ever feels she has to perform to be loved, she'll leave, to find a place where she can be real without asking permission. If you've ever looked at her and thought, she's changed, maybe ask yourself, or did she just stop pretending around me? Love with acceptance, not by choosing the parts that are easy to love, but by staying grounded when it's not. Because once she knows she doesn't have to perform to be loved, she'll show you the most honest parts of herself she's never dared to share with anyone else. And that is where real connection begins. 3, don't dig into her past, then resent her for things that no longer exist. You meet her. She's graceful enough to make you feel safe, beautiful enough to make you want to keep her, and just mysterious enough to stir your curiosity. One day you ask, have you ever loved someone before me? What was your ex like? Did you ever go all the way with someone else? You're not asking to understand. You're asking because your ego can't stand the thought that you're not the first. And when she answers, gently, honestly, you feel a thin, invisible cut. Not deep, but irritating. You start imagining another man touching the woman you now love. You start comparing, and slowly, you pull away. Have you been there? It's late at night. She's sleeping next to you, but in your mind, you're stuck in her past. There's no proof, no reason, just your imagination running louder than the truth. A 2020 study from the Journal of Social and Personal Relationships found this: 90% of men have felt jealousy about their partner's sexual past, but most weren't reacting to facts, they were reacting to fantasy. This kind of jealousy doesn't come from reason, it comes from the amygdala, the primal brain that handles fear and control. And here's the irony. You were the one who asked, but now you're the one who can't handle the truth. You wanted honesty, and when she gave it, you judged her for something that happened before you. Smart men don't ask questions just to feed their insecurity. They understand. There's nothing more foolish than being jealous of something that no longer exists and ruining something good because you're stuck in something old. If she's here now, with you, choosing you, being real with you, then her past isn't a threat. It's just a chapter in a book you don't need to rewrite. Maybe you've searched, scanned, dug through her history, and the more you knew, the less peace you had. Not because she did anything wrong, but because you weren't ready to love someone who's been loved before. Just knowing she had a past was enough to make you jealous. But if you're not strong enough to love someone with a past, you won't be able to hold on to someone with depth. A Stoic man understands this. The past doesn't define the present, unless you let it. The only thing you control is how you show up for her starting today. You don't need to be the first, you just need to be the last and the kindest. If you can't let go of the shadow of her ex in your mind, then you're not really loving her. You're just trying to own her. And when a woman feels judged, she starts pulling back her trust. She may still be beside you, but her eyes won't look at you the way they used to. Don't make her pay for a life she lived before she ever knew you. Because if you can't move forward, she'll have to stop, just to ease your fear over something that's already gone. And if you treat her past like a stain, she'll treat her future with you like a dead end. Let the past stay in the past. And if something needs to be taught in this relationship, it's not her, it's you. 4. Don't try to teach her how to grow up. You see her make a mistake. She reacts emotionally. She gets jealous, negative, dramatic. And in your mind, something clicks. She needs to grow up. I have to help her see the bigger picture. She has to change if this is going to last. Sounds noble, right? But in truth, that's just ego dressed up as leadership. You're not helping. You're controlling. You're not guiding. You're using maturity as a silent standard to judge who is worthy of love. A 2018 study from Harvard Business Review found this. Romantic relationships where one partner consistently acts as the mentor or coach have a 63% higher breakup rate within 12 to 18 months. Why? Because no one wants to be in a relationship where they're always the one who needs to be fixed. You think you're a guide. She feels like she's taking a test. You're not loving her for who she is. You're loving who you want her to become. Have you ever been there? She lashes out and you snap. You should learn how to think. She gets emotional and you say, I don't have time for drama. You think you're helping her grow, but maybe you're just making her feel small, especially in front of the one person she hoped would protect her, not judge her. You have every right to want a mature partner, but you don't have the right to teach someone maturity by tearing them down. Some men use silence, tone, even emotional withdrawal as tools. They don't yell, they don't insult, they just pull back every time she messes up and call it helping her grow. If you're with someone and always feel like you're smarter, wiser, better, you're not in love. You're just playing teacher. And women, even the youngest ones, have pride. When they're taught instead of being met, they'll resist you quietly and leave without warning. You want to help her grow? Then grow yourself, not through lectures, not through criticism, but by how you respond to her most immature moments. Sometimes the deepest maturity is refusing to react to someone else's lack of it. Don't waver, don't judge, don't hold yourself as the gold standard. She will notice the difference without you saying a word. And if she's truly ready, she'll grow on her own. Not because you forced her, but because she felt respected. Sometimes real growth doesn't come from being corrected, but from quietly watching someone steady, someone calm, someone who doesn't make every mistake a lesson. She may still be young, still raw, still learning, but the more you push, the more you condition, the more you mask control as support, the more you drive her into the very insecurity you claim to help her escape. A Stoic man doesn't try to raise a woman. He chooses someone already on her own path and walks beside her, not ahead, not above. Because if she changes from pressure, she'll resent you. But if she changes because she felt safe and seen, she'll thank you and stay. You don't need to be the man who teaches her wisdom. Just be the one who never makes her feel foolish. And if you can do that, one day you'll realize maturity doesn't need to be taught. It only needs someone calm enough not to react. 5. Don't use silence as a punishment. You've probably done this without even naming it. She texts you, you read it, but don't reply. She gets upset, and you stay quiet. No pushback, no explanation. You go silent, disappear. act like nothing happened, and you think you're staying calm. But in truth, you're using silence to punish her. There's a kind of silence that doesn't come from peace. It's a silence meant to say, "You messed up. You should feel that." It's meant to create distance, to trigger guilt, to make her feel like she's being quietly punished. According to the American Psychological Association, APA 2019, tactical silence, when used as emotional control, is a form of psychological abuse. It lowers self-esteem, raises anxiety, and long-term, it hurts more than direct criticism ever could. But here's the biggest issue. She doesn't know what you're mad about. She doesn't know what she did wrong. All she feels is the cold, the disconnect, the emotional absence, right when she needed you most. No yelling, no harsh words, just your absence, at the most fragile moment. Have you done that before? She says something that bothers you, and you think, she should figure it out. You say nothing, just shut down. But every time you disappear in silence, inside her, a quiet storm starts. Is he angry? Does he still care? Did I cross a line? You think you're composed, but you're actually making her feel completely alone in the relationship. You've done this, right? She texts all day, no reply. She asks, "Are you okay?" And you just leave her on scene. In your mind, you think, let's see how long she holds on. But when you finally talk again, she no longer wants to. You win the moment, but lose the trust. And trust, once cracked, never comes back the same. A Stoic man doesn't use silence to punish. He chooses silence to protect. If you're strong enough to love, you're strong enough to say, "I need a moment to reset, but I'm still here." Or, "I'm not ready to talk yet, but this isn't your fault." One sentence like that, and she knows you're still with her, even if you need space. Because silence, if not explained, isn't calm. It becomes a wall, and women feel emotional distance faster than you think. If she senses you're using silence as punishment, she won't fight. She'll retreat, bit by bit, one message, one glance, one feeling at a time, until one day you speak again, and something in her just isn't the same. Silence is not a weapon. Don't use it to win the fight and lose the relationship. Speak when it matters. And if you choose silence, make it clear it's space to heal, not a tool to hurt. A mature man doesn't need to raise his voice, but he knows. Love doesn't require perfect words, but it does need clarity and presence, especially when emotions run high. Because sometimes, all she needs is not a long speech, just one signal. I haven't left, even if I'm quiet. 6. Don't force her to be rational when she's emotional. She's crying. She's angry. She's saying things that don't make sense, contradicting herself, even sounding unreasonable. And you, a logical man, feel like none of it adds up. You start analyzing, you're overthinking this. This isn't a big deal. Calm down, then we can talk. It sounds reasonable, but to someone drowning in emotion, your logic can feel like a slap to their inner world. According to Harvard Medical School 2014, when emotions surge, activity in the prefrontal cortex, the brain's logic center, drops significantly. Meanwhile, the amygdala, the emotion center, fires 2 to 3 times more intensely in women than in men during emotionally sensitive moments. In other words, she can't be rational in that moment because her brain won't let her. The more you say calm down, the more she feels unseen. The more you explain, the more she feels small, because you're treating her emotions as something to fix, not something to feel. Have you done this before? She gets upset and you raise your voice. You're being dramatic. She starts crying and you ask, "Why are you crying again? It's not even that serious." And instead of solving anything, you watch her shut down, go quiet, pull away, not because you were wrong, but because you didn't let her be wrong in peace. A Stoic man understands. Not everything needs logic. Sometimes the strongest thing you can do is stay present in her emotional storm without asking her to explain it. Strength isn't about keeping control. It's about staying steady without demanding others do the same, especially when they can't. She doesn't need your analysis when she's overwhelmed. She just needs you not to leave when she can't think like you do. Because if you force her to make sense while she's flooded with emotion, you're denying something deeply human in her. She feels to release, not to be fixed. A grounded man doesn't chase emotions, but he also doesn't flinch when the woman beside him is drowning in hers. He isn't afraid of water spilling because he knows he's the glass that won't tip over. And if you can do that, you'll see her calm down faster than any logic ever could. Not because you won, but because you never left her in the middle of the storm. Love doesn't always need to be right. It just needs someone who stays when the other can't make sense of themselves. You don't need to be a master empath, just someone who doesn't walk away while she's still figuring herself out. Because sometimes, a woman doesn't need solutions. She just needs to know you won't leave her alone with questions she's not ready to answer. She won't remember your perfect arguments, but she'll never forget that when she was weakest, you didn't ask her to be strong. 7. Don't say, "I love you," if there's still doubt in your heart. Those 3 words, "I love you," can sound as light as a breeze, but when spoken before certainty, they can spark a storm that never needed to happen. Have you ever said it just because she needed to hear it? Just because it felt like the right thing to say in a moment of weakness? Just because you were afraid to lose her if you didn't say the words that might make her stay? If "I love you" is said to calm someone else's fears or to keep them from walking away, it's not a declaration of love. It's a mistimed contract of emotional trust. According to a study from the University of Texas, 2021, overusing "I love you" when emotions aren't yet clear creates more anxiety, emotional dependence, and unrealistic expectations, raising the chances of early breakup due to emotional misalignment. Because women don't just hear with their ears, they feel your words through how well they align with your actions. You say you love her, but the next day you pull back. You avoid deep conversations. You stop reaching for her hand unless there's a reason, and she won't say anything. Not at first, but she'll feel it. She'll know. Don't use love to silence someone's insecurity when you haven't resolved your own. Have you been in that moment? She looks at you, eyes searching, and asks, "Do you love me?" And instead of facing the question, you reach for the easiest answer. "Yes, I love you." Even though deep down, you're still uncertain. It sounds kind, but vague kindness can become quiet damage. Because the second you say something you don't fully believe, you put her on a path you're not sure you want to follow. A Stoic man doesn't rush to say, "I love you," not because he's cold, but because he knows love without certainty is a burden, not a gift. Love isn't about promises, it's about alignment between feeling, thinking, and action. If you're still comparing, still hesitating, still tied to someone in your past, you're not wrong. You're just not ready to say, "I love you," at least not with integrity. And if you truly respect her, let her be loved with clarity, not with words you only say when you're scared to lose her. You don't have to say it every day, but when you do, let it be something she can trust in your silence, not just your sentences. She doesn't need a promise of forever. She needs to know. When you say love, you mean it. You're present. You're certain. Not saying it to please. Not saying it to hold her. Saying it because you truly can't imagine life without her. And if you're not sure, don't say it. Because the cost of saying "I love you" too soon might be the trust you'll never get back. 8. Don't hold on to her just because you're afraid she'll be fine without you. Have you ever felt this? One day when things between you start to fade, she grows quiet. No more arguments, no more complaints. She starts going to the gym. She picks up books again. She smiles more, but not because of you. And suddenly you feel uneasy, not because she's walking away, but because you realize she might actually be okay without you. There's a truth most men won't admit. We don't always hold on because we still love her. Sometimes we hold on because we're afraid she'll thrive without us. According to Psychology Today, 2020, the fear of irrelevance That quiet panic of no longer being important in someone's life is one of the top reasons men stay in relationships that have already gone cold. Not out of love, but because our ego feels threatened. You don't want her to love someone else, not because he's unworthy, but because you can't stand the thought that he might make her happier than you ever did. Have you done this? She wants to let go, and you say, let's give it one more try. I know I'm not perfect, but I'll change. But deep down, you're not saying that because you're ready to build something new. You're saying it because you can't accept a future where she's happy without you in the picture. That's not love. That's ego fighting the fear of being replaced. A Stoic man doesn't keep someone just to prove he matters. He's strong enough to say, if you're truly better off without me, I won't stop you. Because love isn't about locking someone in. It's about freedom and the choice to stay. She doesn't belong to you. She belongs to herself. You're not her anchor. You're a part she chose to include, not a part she can't live without. Your strength isn't in making her dependent. It's in loving her with enough respect to know she'll be okay without you, and still choosing to stay. Have you ever seen her smiling more, growing stronger after every argument, and instead of feeling proud, you felt angry? Not because she did anything wrong, but because deep down you realized she doesn't need you the way she used to. Don't keep her just to protect your sense of worth. Because if you keep someone out of fear, what you'll get isn't love. It's a shadow of guilt. And eventually it's a fracture you can't repair. You don't need to be the reason she's happy. Just don't be the one who blocks her path when she finds happiness, with or without you. And here's the twist. When you're strong enough to let go, if that's what's right, that's often the moment she'll choose to stay, genuinely. Some people leave not because you couldn't hold them, but because you held too tightly. If she returns, let it be because you didn't chain her, but you were still worth coming back to. After these 8 lessons, you might be asking yourself, have I unknowingly hurt a woman just because I didn't understand myself well enough? If the answer is yes, you're not alone. We've all loved the wrong way at some point. Said I love you when we weren't ready. Held on to someone just because we were afraid they might be okay without us. Tried too hard to do what's right and forgot that love is about connection, not control. A Stoic man doesn't love with perfection. He loves with steadiness, with self-awareness. And he never uses love as a tool to keep someone from leaving. If you're in a relationship right now, pause, not to test whether she still loves you, but to ask yourself, am I holding on to her, or am I walking beside her by choice, not obligation? Because true love isn't about possession, it's about choosing again and again, even when you know they could live just fine without you. Thank you for staying until the end of this video. If this series has touched something you've kept hidden, hit follow. There's more coming, more ideas that can help you live with clarity, with strength and love in a way that doesn't hurt. And if you know someone who needs to hear this, share this video with them, because sometimes on the right words at the right moment can help someone pause, just long enough to not destroy a relationship they deeply care about. And these aren't just words. They're lessons from a man who once got it wrong and learned the hard way what it really means to be awake. See you in the next video. Stay clear, stay grounded, and never forget, love, but don't lose yourself in the process.